What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome back to Top Bins, the show bringing you all the latest news and action from around the Premier League, Serie A, and the world of football/soccer. It's KB coming at you from Underground Studios. Harrison joined me once again in the second episode of the revival era of Top Bins, and I believe I mentioned it on our initial revival episode that is out now. Definitely go check that out. But I think I did mention it. It is now fully official. I got a microphone ordered for him. Mark Kramer will be joining us as a regular on this show. So we'll have an Arsenal fan perspective on the regular on Top Bins. Very excited for Mark to be a part of this show for sure. But Harrison, we got Premier League to discuss. We had a wild weekend. Across the board, we got more matches to talk about for this upcoming weekend. We got some Serie A to discuss. We got a couple news and notes, especially an interesting one is the transfer window is now open for the winter transfers, and we got a crazy Mo Salah stat that we're also going to bring up because he's just the best player on the planet right now. But make sure you guys are following Top Bins on social media at FC Top Bins on Twitter and TikTok, and at Top Bins Pod on Instagram and Threads. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps the show continue to grow. We're definitely not letting this show go by the wayside any longer. 2025, it's permanent. It's a permanent transfer to stay. So definitely subscribe to the pod and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia, because that's where you'll get full video episodes of Top Bins every single week. Harrison, let's get into a little Premier League discussion here and wrap up match week 19 from the games that we were not discussing, because plot twist, everyone, we recorded the first episode of the revival well before you even knew about it. We recorded it last Saturday, so we've got a ton of stuff to discuss here from week 19 in the Prem. Man City finally wins a Premier League game.
Finally.
Against Leicester City. They win away at Leicester City 2-0. Nottingham Forest win 2-0 away at Everton. Crystal Palace defeat Southampton 2-1. Tottenham and Wolves draw 2-2. Who let Wolves get hot?
I couldn't tell you. They just kind of came out of nowhere again and started just playing up to competition.
Fulham and Bournemouth draw 2-2. Liverpool absolutely decimate West Ham away at West Ham 5-0. Ipswich Town defeat your beloved Chelsea 2-0 for their first win at home in Premier League action since 2002. Ed Sheeran in the building, looking on and watching it, loving it.
Can go to hell. That sucked. That sucked. I'm so pissed about that one, man. Like,
especially after last week's episode when you said, I wouldn't want to be whoever's on Chelsea's schedule next week.
Yeah.
And I bring up that it's Ipswich Town. You're like, yeah, Ipswich has it coming.
Yeah. Hey, no. Hey, karma came back to bite me in the ass, and you know I accept that, but still.
I will say there were some photos. We'll talk about it too, but some of the photos that came out of that game of the Ipswich players were like Pulitzer Prize winning photos. When homie was hitting his backflip, and then you just got the whole backdrop of the stadium behind him, that photo was clean.
I'll give it to hey, good on Ipswich, but also, God, this sucks.
Aston Villa and Brighton, hell of a game. They draw 2-2 at Villa Park. Newcastle continued to be the hottest team in the Premier League, not named Liverpool. They defeat Manchester United 2-0 at Manchester United. And then today, as we record this on New Year's Day, Happy New Year, everybody. Arsenal get a 3-1 win away at Brentford. But hey, Man City, they remembered how to win. One last time in 2024. They remembered, oh yeah, you're supposed to win games.
Yeah.
They win 2-0 at Leicester City, and Savinho, Holland score the goals. I mean, good win for Man City to kind of like get back in a winning way.
Yep.
But Leicester still outpossessed them 54 to 46% in this game.
That's an insane
Leicester outpassed them 578 passes to 505. I think the biggest thing is Leicester City was just not as disciplined. They had more yellow cards. They fouled more, and that kind of cost them there. But all in all, like, I think if you're Leicester City, like, you pull a Micah Parsons, if you will, for our NFL fans, and say, hey, if you took the scoreboard off the sheet, we beat them in every facet. I mean, they played them tough, and they just missed on some opportunities. So I wouldn't say Man City's completely out of the clear right now, but a good way for them to kind of regain and find some winning form going into the new year.
They got bailed out by high-end talent yet again. And that's what the best teams are able to do. You know, you see it in every single sport. You can be a chippy young team with, you know, pretty good talent, but then come up against a team with better players, outpossess them, outpass them, outshoot them, what have you, and still lose because their big talent got one good strike on target and put it in the back of the net. And that's just the name of the game right there.
Nottingham Forest go into the new year sitting third in the table, Harrison.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Good on them. I'd much rather see them in the top four than a City or a Tottenham or a United. So I'm happy.
They win away at Everton. Chris Wood, Morgan Gibbs-White, your usual suspects there.
Chris Wood's having an insane year.
And they win this game. Again, I think possession is an interesting statistic to look at in my early stages of following the Premier League. Everton outpossessed Nottingham Forest in this game 64% to 36% and still lost 2-0.
It doesn't matter how much you have the ball. It matters what you do when you have the possession. So you can possess the ball and hold the ball as much as you want. Pass it around the backfield, play a little ticky-tacky, just, you know, classic Barcelona early 2010s kind of ball. Don't matter if you're not putting it back in the net. And that's what made that Barcelona team so good. You know, they pass it around for a bunch of times, put it up front, and then you have Messi running down and just doing what Leo Messi does.
Right.
What made Man City for all those years work when you had Aguero and then into Holland. But if you don't have anyone who's capable of scoring like that, which I don't think Everton really have, that's what's going to do you in. So,
big win for Crystal Palace to kind of get back on track for them and avoid the relegation zone. 2-1 at home to Southampton. You never want to lose to Southampton.
No, not.
So they get a win there that they desperately needed. Let's talk about Wolves. Who let Wolves get hot, Harrison?
I couldn't tell you. They just kind of flipped a switch near the end of the year. They're like, I kind of like being in the Premier League, and I don't want to lose that. So they've just started scoring again. They're playing better than I've seen them play in the past God knows how long. But it's been a minute.
They had an early lead in this one. Hwang Hee-chan scores in the 7th minute. Tottenham even it up in the 12th minute. Tottenham take a lead going into halftime. And then in the 87th minute, Jorgen Strand-Larsen scores to tie things and salvage points for Wolves against Tottenham. And I know we talked about it last week too, where like we were looking at the table and it's like, okay, you know, Brentford is there, and Tottenham kind of leap Brentford because they lose today as we record this, obviously, to Arsenal. But looking at the table right now as we head into 2025, like if you're not in 10th place right now, you're kind of just like going through the motion, or you're hoping that you find a way to get hot here in the new year, because just looking at the teams that are in the top 10, Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Newcastle are your top 5. Man City, Bournemouth, Fulham, Aston Villa, Brighton. They all have 27 or more points right now in the table. Tottenham is 11th and Brentford are 12th. They have 24 points. And we said it last week about Tottenham, like they feel more towards the mid-table to low table than they do 10th and up.
Yep.
You know, you look at Tottenham, Brentford, West Ham, and, you know, more people are talking about Manchester United trying to avoid relegation than anything else.
Yep.
Those three in the middle of Tottenham, Brentford, and West Ham, they're kind of in like limbo land right now.
Yeah. And it's weird because Tottenham are such a good team that they should be better than where they're at, but they're Tottenham, so they're never going to figure it out. And these other teams, they just really don't have an identity right now. They're just in the Premier League, but are they truly in the Premier League? They're just they're playing games, they're getting draws, they're losing some, they're winning on occasion, but they just don't feel like Premier League clubs per se. They just feel like they feel like filler.
Yeah.
Like you ever watch like a show and you're like watching you're watching an episode and halfway through you're like, oh, this does not contribute to the plot in any way, shape, or form. Like at least the relegation teams can play spoiler,
right?
And they're there they add drama. These middle of the
and they're in a story arc in their own right where they're all trying to just like survive.
Yeah. So, and then you got, you know, these teams in the middle of the pack that are just kind of there. And it's a shame, but except for with Tottenham, it's not a shame with Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham drawing to Wolves after Wolves get, back-to-back like matches for Wolves where they get good results, where they beat Manchester United last week, and now they draw to Tottenham. You know, you look at what Wolves have Nottingham Forest on Monday.
Yeah,
who knows? You know, maybe their hot streak continues. But a good result for Wolves nonetheless. Fulham and Bournemouth, that was a game where both of these teams needed the full 3 points, and neither of them got them.
And sometimes it just shakes out that way. You get two teams that are middling, and then all of a sudden they come up against each other, and both of them just kind of play to play and play to get a draw. It didn't seem like either team was out there really playing to win. They were just kind of fine with a point out of each of it. And when you get games like that, you're like, huh, is there anything else on right now? Is there any other
Bournemouth salvaged it because Fulham was leading. Like Fulham got the go-ahead goal. Harry Wilson scored in the 72nd minute. Bournemouth scored in the 89th minute to salvage that game for themselves.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're looking at potentially moving down in the table if they don't get a point there. Bournemouth is
like a draw. Like
Bournemouth stayed in 7th because they got that point. If they lose that game, Aston Villa's ahead of them, and Brighton and Bournemouth are tied.
Yeah,
at that point. So like going into their game, Aston Villa and Brighton are probably looking at that result and they're like, "Damn, this is like second best case scenario for us outside of Bournemouth losing."
Yeah.
So like looking at that, and you're a Villa fan, you're a Brighton fan, you're thrilled at that result because those are the two teams you're currently chasing that are closest to you outside of Man City in the table to get that number 5 spot.
Yeah. And you know, they really wanted that. They were hoping for something to go their way, and they got it, which is huge for them. But yeah,
Liverpool
are just going to keep on winning. That's what Liverpool do, and you know it's better than City. Better than them City.
Liverpool had goals in the 30th, 40th, 44th, 54th and 84th minute in this game.
Golly.
And a clean sheet nonetheless.
It's because Alisson's just kind of him. And their defense is unreal, helmed by one of the best center backs we've seen in recent memory, Virgil van Dijk, just a dog behind there. And a good dude, too, like helping out his community and he went out and brought Mo Salah to see that kid with I forget the exact name of the disease, but brought him to the park. But, man, Virgil, that is one man you do not want to be running at because he will take you down, he'll take the ball, and make you regret ever being a striker.
And, I mean, you look at this game, too, the goal scorers are your usual suspects.
Yeah.
Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Diego Jota scores the cherry on top. And they score 5 goals on 13 shots that were on target.
Good Lord. I didn't realize oh my God.
They took 22 shots, 13 on target. More than half.
If you're the goalie, you're like, hey, at least I saved more than I let in, but at what cost, man? At what cost?
Insane. I do want to bring up this stat that I saw from Sky Sports Premier League on their YouTube channel from their show, from their Monday Night Football. This is just fascinating and kind of puts into perspective how good Mo Salah has been this year.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before we started recording, but the best goal and assist return in the first 18 appearances of a league season from selected players here. The names on this list from bottom to top: Karim Benzema, Kylian Mbappe, Zlatan, Haaland, Harry Kane, Luis Suarez, Neymar are 29 or fewer points. Still very good, but the 30-plus point club, 2020, 2021, Robert Lewandowski. Cristiano Ronaldo only did this once, and it was in 2014, 2015, where he had 37 combined point outputs of 28 goals, 9 assists. Messi did it, I believe, multiple times. 2010, 2011 is what they used here on this list, where Messi had 21 goals and 14 assists for 35.
Yeah.
Mo Salah this year, 17 goals, 13 assists, 30 points. He's doing it on a Messi trajectory where he's not only scoring, he's assisting the other guys scoring. And to me, that's way more valuable than anything else. Like, Lewandowski had 24 and 6. Ronaldo had 28 and 9. Salah's more mirroring what Messi did in 2010, 2011 than either of the other two that are in the 30-point club.
Yeah. And with a winger especially, you want him to be able to get passes into the box, crossing those balls. And when you got someone like Darwin Nunez or Luis Diaz receiving those passes, of course you're gonna get a bunch of assists. But it's so impressive because he's not a spring chicken anymore. He's not the same 23-year-old, 24-year-old that he once was. But he's still doing it at a ridiculous pace. He truly is the best player in the Prem. And I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. Why the hell did Chelsea ever let him go?
Like, I was looking at this list today when I was watching this video.
Yeah.
And like Ronaldo, Messi, you can do like the Brady Manning, comparison, however you want to break it down.
Yeah.
I was like trying to think of a comparison for Mo Salah to an NFL quarterback, like whether it be in that era or not. But I genuinely could not think of like the comparison.
No.
And the more I was like thinking about it, it's like it's easier to compare these guys to wide receivers.
Yeah, I would agree.
Messi, Ronaldo, you can make them Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Mo Salah's like T.O.
Yeah.
In that discussion.
I would agree. Let me think here though. Now you got me thinking. Damn. I gotta think of some comparisons here because
it's tough because it's not like Salah's like like I didn't want to call him Big Ben.
No,
He's
no,
not
no,
really
no,
Big
no,
Ben. He's not
no.
really Phillip Rivers.
He's not Philip Rivers. And I feel like you got to pick someone who has a title at least on him.
Right.
Mo Salah, he's kind of like a Russ, except he never really had a down year,
Yeah.
which is the issue.
It's interesting.
You could call him like a Russ. Maybe even like a. I mean, you could call him like an Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers, his fall off is only because he's 38 years old and also out of his mind.
Yeah.
But Mo Salah was never really. He's never been like a. You got to pass it to me. You got to let me do the scoring. I am the god king of this team, and you will answer to only me. No, that's not him. He's not a selfish player. He's always been a team first kind of guy, and that's not Aaron Rodgers.
And if you look at Messi, Ronaldo, and like new era football, like NFL football, like you could say they're Mahomes, Josh Allen, and I would say Mo Salah's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, that's the perfect comparison right there. That's absolutely the perfect comparison right there. Now, who's the Jalen Hurts?
Ooh. Is it Isak?
It might be Isak or a little bit of cold.
Well, I did see JJ Watt, who I would love to have on this show.
Yeah,
was on Men in Blazers and said that Saka is Jalen Hurts.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I did just remember that because I shared that with Mark. Because he said like everyone always wants to try to find a way to discredit how good Saka is.
Yeah,
and he just continues to prove everyone wrong, and that's what Jalen Hurts does.
It's a shame Saka is going to be out for as long as he is because, as much as I hate on Arsenal, you never hope injury on anybody. And Saka's genuine talent.
He's so good.
He's so good. And it seems like Arsenal aren't hurting with his absence right now, but we'll have to see how that plays out in the future.
Yeah. So an amazing win for Liverpool. Mo Salah is him.
Yep.
Harrison, are you ready to talk about it?
Let's start the weekly therapy session, I guess. Let's just do it.
Ipswich Town 2, Chelsea 0. The first win at home in the Premier League for Ipswich Town since 2002.
You know what I'm eating right here? You know what I'm eating? It's a nice slice of humble pie.
Your words?
I'm eating my words. I'm eating crow, all that good stuff. Man.
This is the fascinating part about this. Ipswich Town, 6 shots on target on 9 total shots. Chelsea, 20 total shots, 5 shots on target.
You gotta keep them low. You gotta keep them on target. Otherwise, you're not gonna win the goddamn game. And I was telling you beforehand, before we started recording here, but I was on the road with my family up to see more family in North Jersey, and I got the notification that we scored, and then I went to check the app, and it was still 1-0, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" And then I finally got the notification that said Joao Felix's goal was disallowed, and at that point, I was like, "Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed. It's over." Let me just tune into some music real quick to make me forget. And this was a real 2022 Chelsea game. 2022, 2023 Chelsea game. Like a game we should have won. We played down to competition and just couldn't get the shots to land. And good for Ipswich, yada, yada, yada. Fucking Ed Sheeran, whatever.
He's in love with the shape of this win.
Yeah, he is. And, God, I can't even. I won't love him when he's 73.
Crystal Palace is next up for Chelsea. If there was ever a moment after 2 dreadful results for Chelsea to get right,
yeah.
I mean, sure, you're on the road at Crystal Palace, but you have to win that game.
I'm going to say something you'll never hear me say again, but the Eagles better lose that game.
Well, here's the better way to look at it. Here's a better way to look at it. You'll be rooting against Josh Harris.
Yeah, that eases it a little bit. But man,
but like if Chelsea wants to stay firmly entrenched in a potential title race and try to finish, second in the league, third in the league, you have to win this game.
Yeah, but also I raise you this. What title race?
Valid.
We're just a chill guy who's just enjoying the spot in the table that we're in. And our focus.
But don't look now, because we talked about them being the hottest team in the league, not named Liverpool. Newcastle's only 3 points off Champions League spot behind Chelsea.
Focus on the Conference League and focus on getting into the Champions League next year, because Cole Palmer deserves to be on the global stage. He is too good to be stuck in the Europa League, stuck in the Conference League. He's just him. Now, we need to get our goaltending figured out. That is a necessary thing. We have 7 goalkeepers in our squad, and none of them are of the caliber of goaltenders that we are used to at Chelsea. We are used to Petr Cech, Thibaut Courtois. Hell, I'd take Kepa right now. Robert Sanchez and I'm blanking on his name, but this other guy, they're not the same. We are used to world-class goaltending, and we have not been getting it this season. So something
will Chelsea go after a goaltender in the transfer window? That's the real question.
As I said, we already have 7. One of them's got to be the guy, hopefully. But
it's the old adage: if you have 2 goaltenders, you have none.
Yeah.
If you have 7 goaltenders, how many do you really have?
You carry the 5, and then you
square root of 12.
Square root, and then you multiply it by 100.
And then you put it to the exponent of pi.
Yeah, and then you divide it by 0, and you get to 0. So that's where we're at.
I will say, in terms of Newcastle, breathing down your necks, Newcastle's going to have to sell somebody at this transfer window, so that also helps you to a degree, depending on who it is.
Yeah, but
the rumor is it's going to be Anthony Gordon.
That helps, but then you still got Isak. Oh goddamn! And this is Newcastle is a hungry squad. They're in a position they haven't been in for 20, 30 years, and they want to be on top of England again.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to look behind us and start running at a pace that we need to pick it up. We're jogging right now. We need to start sprinting.
Yeah, because you had 2 losses going into 2 weeks ago, down 2 straight losses.
Yep.
You're still in quality positioning. You have 35 points. You're 2 points off Nottingham Forest for 3rd. You're 4 points off Arsenal.
Yep. It's going to be a tight window at the top of the table, except for that one spot, because let's be real, it's Liverpool's league to lose. We said it last week.
Liverpool still has a game in hand.
Yeah. They're gonna run away with it at the end of the year. Now we just got to focus on ensuring that we put ourselves in the best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Next 3 matches better be wins.
Which I can tell you what those next 3 are for you.
So we got Crystal Palace coming up.
So you have Crystal Palace this weekend away at Crystal Palace. You have an FA Cup match at home the following Saturday.
Okay.
Then you're home to Bournemouth on Tuesday, January 14th. And then, look out, you're home to the second hottest team not named Liverpool. You're home to Wolves.
Oh, no. And they'd love to play Sporting. So I'm not going to make any predictions, because we saw how predicting went last week, and I do not want to put that bad energy on Chelsea again. But we better beat Crystal Palace. Bournemouth have always been one of my favorite opponents, because, as I said last week, my favorite player of all time, the guy who got me into soccer, Eden Hazard. And Eden Hazard's favorite opponent was always Bournemouth. He'd always score at least a goal. So I always love playing them, because they always feel like a game that Chelsea win by a lot, but I'm not. That's not a prediction. That's not a prediction. That's just me.
He said that's historical analysis.
It's his great historical analysis there, Tony. But no. And then Wolves. Again, they'd love to play spoiler. They've been doing it for a bunch of teams recently. We can't overlook any of these opponents because I feel like we overlooked both of our most recent opponents. We overlooked Everton a few weeks ago, and that wound up being a 0-0 draw. So just go into each of these games with a full head of steam and just figure your shit out. Enzo Maresca is going to be putting the boys through their paces this week in training.
And then your last match of January, for reference, you're away at Man City.
Ooh, okay.
That's a big one.
That's pretty good. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
So yeah, you got to take care of business against Crystal Palace, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion,
absolutely.
That has to be a win for you guys.
If it's not, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind.
Looking at the other, here we go. The other game that happened after your guys' game was honestly one of the more entertaining games of the week. Aston Villa 2, Brighton 2 at Villa Park.
This was a highly anticipated one, as we talked about.
Great game. You look at how things went. Brighton score in the 12th minute, go up early, which has kind of been a rarity for them. They've either been playing from behind or, not being able to score. And then Ollie Watkins on a penalty kick scores to even things up. Opening minutes of the second half, Morgan Rogers hits the too cold Selly, and Aston Villa goes up 2-1. And then 81st minute, an absolute piss missile, Tariq Lamptey.
Another former Chelsea man.
Bullet of a goal.
Yeah.
To equalize things, salvage points for Brighton. 7 straight matches without a win for Brighton.
Oof.
But a lot of people took this as a win for Brighton because they typically don't play well at Villa Park.
Yeah, and Villa's one of the hottest teams in the league right now. They have dreams of moving up in the table. So
if you're Brighton, it's a win simply because you stay level with the mid-table. You look at Newcastle, who you're all chasing for Europa League at 32 points. Brighton's 5 points off of that. Villa's math is hard. Villa's 3 points off. If you're Brighton, you were hoping for a win here to get the full 3 points, obviously. But when you see a result of Bournemouth and Fulham go into a 2-2 draw, you kind of stay pace, and you got to be happy that Lamptey hits that 81st minute goal to salvage points for you. And one thing that I noticed with Brighton too, they were super slow in the first half.
Yeah.
Villa, as soon as Villa got that Ollie Watkins penalty, they had all the momentum. Then Morgan Rogers goes and scores. Villa was dominating. Amazing substitution by Fabian Hertzler late in that game to go triple sub. Matoma comes on as a sub, which I think changed the pace for Brighton a ton. And it was a completely different ballgame from there on out. As soon as that triple sub happened, Brighton had pace. They were faster. They were the better team. They passed it better. The amount of field switching that Brighton did down the stretch that was seamless was so impressive. And the defense tightened up, as the game went on for them, which was huge. And you could see the change of pace that they had. And again, I'll continue to say it as long as it goes on. You cut Brighton's draws in half, they're a top 4 team in the league this year. They have the most draws of any team in the Premier League this year. They now stand alone with 9 draws.
Jesus. Yeah, that's a lot of them.
They are 6-9-4 this season.
Those boys have got to be kicking themselves over a lot of missed opportunities to take the lead in certain games.
They have the same amount of losses as Chelsea and Nottingham Forest.
Wow. Only 4.
And they have more than double the amount of draws than Nottingham Forest.
Wow. Yeah, no. It's kind of like the Flyers earlier on in the season. Were like, if they only won a few more of those games in overtime, it's just like those 1 points they add up, or the 1 point they add up. And when everybody else is getting 3 around you, that just hurts in every sense of the word.
And you wonder, Duran was out for Villa in this game. You wonder if he's in, how much that changes, everything for their offense. But I mean, Villa, you got to be kicking yourselves that you don't hold on to that lead. Because if you get that full 3 points, you're in the 30-point mark. You move up, in a tie with Man City, and you're still breathing down the necks of Newcastle. Now you got to dig yourselves out and hope for a bunch of help in the coming weeks to kind of offset this. Brighton, you're kissing your lucky stars that you're still alive.
Yep.
And you look at what's upcoming for Villa. They've got they're home to Leicester City on Saturday. They have West Ham in the FA Cup at home on Friday, January 10th. They're away at Everton on Wednesday, the 15th. And then they are away at Arsenal on January 18th. And then they've got Champions League away at Monaco on January 21st. And then they are home to West Ham again, just in Premier League play on January 26th. And then they've got Champions League against Celtic. They're home on January 29th. So they got a lot of games upcoming, which we'll see how that kind of payoff is for them in terms of guys just staying healthy. And then you look at Brighton's upcoming games. They kick off the new year Saturday, home to Arsenal. And then they've got third round FA Cup away at Norwich City. Then on Thursday, January 16th, they're away at Ipswich Town. And then January 19th, they are away at Man United. And then January 25th, they are home to Everton. So there's some winnable games for Brighton in the month of January. Obviously, Arsenal is not easy. But you look at Ipswich Town, Man United, and Everton. For Brighton, those are 3 games that you want to get 9 points.
Yes, I agree.
If you want to keep Europa League aspirations alive, if you're Brighton, you have to get 9 points in those Ipswich Town, Man United, and Everton games.
Yes. I mean, you got to start winning games again. You got to start putting balls in the back of the net. And if I'm the goals, I'm working on your finishing at practice. But what do I know? I'm just some schmuck sitting here in South Jersey talking soccer.
And I mean, that's going to make or break whether or not Brighton is still alive going into the second half of the season. Is if they can start winning again, salvage points. What you do against Arsenal, who knows? Obviously, them not having Saka is huge for Brighton. And you look at what Arsenal has upcoming after their win today against Brentford. They have they're on the road to Brighton on Saturday. They've got EFL Cup semifinal against Newcastle on Tuesday. So you wonder, where their overall roster construction kind of lies with such a quick turnaround from Saturday to Tuesday. And knowing how well Newcastle's been playing as well, what they value more. Then they've got FA Cup on Sunday, January 12th, home to Man United. And then they are home to Tottenham on Wednesday, January 15th. Then they're home to Aston Villa on January 18th. Then they got Champions League on January 22nd. They're away to Wolves on January 25th, and then they've got Champions League away on January 29th. So they also have a ton of games upcoming. No Saka for the foreseeable future. How do they want to kind of value the competitions they're in along with Premier League play if you're Arsenal?
If I'm Arsenal, I'm focusing on the Champions League outside of the Premier League. Like the FA Cup, great. Carabao Cup, great. But what's the one trophy you have not won that you desperately want? The one that evaded Thierry Henry until he went to Barcelona. The one that evaded Dennis Bergkamp. All these legendary players that have come through your club and you never won. It's gotta be the Champions League. And man, I hope they don't win it so that Chelsea can keep that claim that they're the only club in London that's won the Champions League. But that's got to be the focus.
That kind of has to be a positive if you're Brighton then, with all the upcoming games.
Yeah.
That's something that you could take into account. And if you're Brighton, you got to just go balls to the wall and do what you can to kind of just steal points from Arsenal, especially since you're at home.
Yeah. And if their focus is more on Europe, you're going to focus less on the domestic matches.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think Mikel Arteta will do that because he's a damn good manager. But you don't know. Some of these younger players who have never been in this situation before, their heads might be lost in the clouds. So you'll just have to see.
Newcastle 2, Man United 0 at Man United. This game had the internet in flames.
Yeah.
Joshua Zirkzee gets subbed off in the 33rd minute, and you would have thought World War III broke out on Twitter because it was a nightmare. Isak scores in the 4th minute. Joel Linton scores in the 19th minute, and that's all Newcastle had to do to continue being the hottest team not named Liverpool in the Premier League.
Yeah. And I mentioned it earlier, but I think the teams in the top 4, apart from Liverpool, have to start looking behind them because you got Newcastle there just going breathing down their necks.
Like Brainy from Hey Arnold.
Yeah, just sitting there, salivating at the bit, wanting to come up and just give these teams in the top 4 what they really want to see coming. And man, I'm terrified of them. They're good.
They're so good. Now, it remains to be seen what happens during this transfer window and what they have to do that could disrupt some team chemistry. But for right now, they're building a bit of sustenance for themselves to remain a top dog, and they are. You don't want to see Newcastle on your schedule right now. If you're any team in the Prem, any team in competitions, like looking at their schedule, like they start the new year off away at Tottenham. Good luck, Tottenham.
Oh, God. It is going to be nice seeing Tottenham lose. Just because, as I keep saying, it's just funny. Watching Tottenham lose just makes my heart a little bit later. Just a little bit.
Like, this is Newcastle's upcoming schedule for January. They're away at Tottenham. They're away at Arsenal for the Carabao Cup on Tuesday, January 7th. They've got FA Cup on Sunday, January 12th, home to Bromley. Then they are home to Wolves on Wednesday, January 15th. It's a battle of who's hotter right there. Then they've got Bournemouth at home on January 18th, and then they're away to Southampton on January 25th. Like, would it surprise anybody if Newcastle just wins the entire month of January? Not at all.
No, they're hot. They are hotter than hot. They are hotter than the spiciest level on Hot Ones.
They are the last dab.
They are the last dab. I'm terrified. I'd be terrified to see them coming up on my schedule. They might knock Arsenal out of the Carabao Cup here.
Insane. And I mean, Man United seems like they're SpongeBob's brain when they threw out his name.
Yeah.
They're on all types of fire right now, and
Oh, yeah.
not in the Newcastle way.
All they know is how to breathe and do fine dining, except they don't do fine dining, and they don't know what breathing is either anymore.
What did you make of the Xerxes substitution conundrum?
It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Like, nothing they have going on right now is right. And now you got your entire fan base up in flames for what? For nothing.
I mean, they're 14th in the table right now going into the new year with 22 points.
Oh, God, it's so beautiful. It hang it in the Louvre. Just take a screenshot of the Premier League table right now, smack it right next to the Mona Lisa, and be like, "Hey, go admire this work of art, and then go look at the Mona Lisa."
Like, Crystal Palace is only 2 points behind them. Everton's only 5 points behind them. Wolves are only 6 points behind them.
You know, the Red Devils, but even the Devil himself would not want to deal with anything with this team.
Yeah, they are a shit show right now.
Yeah. And it's like watching the Dallas Cowboys fall apart.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And then the final game that happened today as we record this, Arsenal 3, Brentford 1 at Brentford. Brentford's still kind of surviving, but not as much as we would say they were last week.
Yeah. And Arsenal just...
Like, Brentford had a 1-0 lead in this game, and then Arsenal scores. You know, Gabriel scores in the 29th minute. Marino scores in the 50th, and then Martinelli scores in the 53rd.
We were talking, like, we were talking about the sock injury earlier and seeing how they would adapt to that. They have enough good pieces that it shouldn't matter as much. Like, is Saka phenomenal? Yes. But he's not the sole contributor to this team. And they're going to have to prove that continuously going forward. But it's very next man up mentality. And that's what makes Arsenal so good, unfortunately. But they're looking like world beaters right now. And it's just a damn shame that they've finally broken out of their slump, because I would have loved to laugh at Arsenal some more.
So looking at the table going into match week 20, Liverpool at the top with 45 points. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea round out the top 4. Newcastle in 5th with 32 points. Man City in 6th with 31. Bournemouth in 7th. Fulham in 8th. Aston Villa in 9th. Brighton in 10th. Tottenham in 11th. Brentford in 12th. West Ham in 13th. Man United in 14th. Crystal Palace 15. Everton 16. Wolves 17. Ipswich Town 18, but just barely because they got that dub. They're only 1 point off Wolves to get out of the relegation zone. Leicester in 19th with 14 points, and Southampton in the basement with 6 points. Before we move to match week 20 and kind of just preview the matches upcoming, I want to talk to you guys about our friends over at Biñho. And Biñho Board is the tabletop game that you need to go into this new year with. It is foosball meets paper football, and it is the ultimate conversation starter. When you whip out a Biñho board at a party, you're going to get the people talking. It is so much fun. You can play for hours on end, and they've got Liverpool and Arsenal boards. They've got a Man City board. Get yourself a Biñho board this year. 2025, the year of Biñho. Use our link in the description. Check out all their products, everything they have to offer. You can customize boards as well. And when you go to checkout, use code Biñho Bennett 62. That's code Biñho Bennett 62 to get 10% off your entire order from our friends at Biñho. And make 2025 the year of Biñho. I know when Harrison and I hang out, we're going to be playing some Biñho. It's truly the best. So check out everything they have to offer. Use our link in the description and use code Biñho Bennett 62 for 10% off your entire order. Looking at the games ahead this weekend, Harrison, we've got Newcastle at Tottenham, Everton at Bournemouth, Leicester City at Aston Villa, Chelsea at Crystal Palace, Brentford at Southampton, West Ham at Man City, Arsenal at Brighton, Ipswich Town at Fulham, Man United doesn't get easier, Harrison. They're at Liverpool. And then Nottingham Forest on Monday is away at Wolves. What are you most looking forward to in match week 20?
Well, first and foremost, watching Liverpool mud stomp United, just continuing on their misery. It's going to be beautiful. Let's see. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Chelsea game because I'm hoping they'll get their shit together, but you never know. And I'm not going to predict anything. I'm looking forward to seeing how Aston Villa responds after a draw. This West Ham City game could be interesting. I think West Ham have a shot to do something pretty damn funny here. I think Newcastle are going to stomp our Tottenham. Brighton Arsenal, I could see being yet another draw in Brighton, but this is one you like.
That's a win.
Yeah, if I'm a Brighton fan, I'm happy with that. And I kind of want to see Wolves dethrone Nottingham.
I also think it's going to be fascinating to see how Ipswich Town comes out after such a huge win for them, such an emotional moment too, away at Fulham. And I want to see how Bournemouth responds at home after that draw, playing a team that is just a pain in everyone's ass in Everton.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree with you on Aston Villa too, kind of responding against Leicester City. Like, yes, Leicester's in the relegation zone, but they are also one of those like pain in the ass teams that like if you play down to them, they're going to make you pay for it.
Yeah. So it's going to be another fun match week. I don't think there's ever a boring match week in the Premier League unless somehow every team draws 0-0.
And I think the only transfer news we have so far is like it's official now that Diego Gomez is available for Brighton now that it's January 1st. So that's a huge get for them. 21-year-old midfielder coming over from Inter Miami. One of the largest MLS transfer fees on record. I think it was like 15 million plus. So that's a huge get there. He played for the Paraguay national team in the Olympics, knows Enciso. So I think that's also big for Enciso, who's had a ton of opportunities over the past couple of weeks to score and just hasn't capitalized. I think having somebody he's familiar with on the squad is going to be big for him. But, we talked about Newcastle potentially having to sell here in this transfer window. One of the other big stories is Barcelona. They're not in position to register Dani Olmo. Now that New Year's Eve has passed, he was on a half-season kind of temporary registration. And now that it's New Year's Day, Barcelona may not have sufficient guarantees on being able to register him for the remainder of the season. And he may leave on a free transfer, Harrison.
That would be something. I mean, what the rumor is that he's going to City, right?
There's rumors about that, and the quote here is, as of December 31st, Barcelona have not presented any alternative in accordance with La Liga's economic rules that allow the registration of players from January 2nd.
So, yeah.
It's kind of crazy that, like, you have such a player that's, like, in their prime years.
Yeah.
Potentially leaving because you're broke.
Yes. It's weird to say that about Barcelona too, but they've always been in like money issues for as long as I can remember, at least. And Dani Olmo, he's just always been the subject of conversation these last few years. So it's going to be an interesting saga. It's not the first time Barcelona has been wrapped up in transfer shenanigans. It certainly won't be the last time either. So we're just going to have to see what happens from here on out.
Let's see if there's any other teams that he's potentially tied to. His registration appeal was rejected too, so there's I don't know how you feel about this, Harrison. There's a YouTube video going out there too, potentially looking Dani Olmo to Chelsea.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. We're not. I mean, it's not like we're lacking for attacking talent, and we've got. Oh God, what's his name? We've got that Brazilian kid, Esteval Willian, coming over in the summer. So we sign him, great. If not, we've got a stud coming in over the summer transfer window. So I'm impressed.
So yeah, it's something that we'll definitely be keeping an eye on, especially if he comes to the Premier League. But we'll take a quick peek in on Serie A as they are back in action again this week too. It's brought to you by Paramount Plus. Guys, you got to stream the Pulisic documentary. It's the holidays. You're at home looking for something to watch. Pulisic, one of our own. He's one of our own, Harrison. Check out the documentary. I am definitely planning on watching it soon. I've heard nothing but great things about it, and it's exclusively on Paramount Plus. Sign up for Paramount Plus using our link in the description. And guess what, guys? It's January. And you know what's back in January? Champions League. You know what's on Paramount Plus? Champions League. So stream Champions League, stream the Pulisic documentary, and so much more on Paramount Plus. Sign up today using our link in the description and get watching Champions League. Gear up for it. Get ready so you're ready to rock and roll when it's back in action. And don't miss a single second of Champions League action on Paramount Plus. Use our link in the description. Sign up today. Since we last recorded, some stuff went on in Serie A in terms of just games that we didn't get a chance to talk about. Udinese Torino tied 2-2 on Sunday. Napoli beats Venezia 1-0. Juve and Fiorentina draw 2-2. Milan and Roma draw 1-1. Como defeats Lecce 2-0. And Verona get an absolute gift of a win as Bologna scores an own goal to gift Verona the victory 3-2. Smaller match week in Serie A this week. It's their match week 19. Venezia home to Empoli on Saturday. Fiorentina plays host to Napoli on Saturday. Verona is home to Udinese. Monza home to Cagliari on Sunday. Lecce is home to Genoa on Sunday. Torino home to Parma on Sunday. And then Roma plays host to Lazio on Sunday. And the Serie A table now going into this week. Atalanta still at the top, but Napoli has caught them, and they are tied points-wise, but Atalanta has the tiebreaker right now in terms of goal differential. So they still remain atop Serie A. Napoli right behind them. Inter is in third with 40 points. Lazio in fourth. Fiorentina in fifth. Juve in sixth. Bologna in seventh. Milan in eighth. Udinese in ninth. Roma, Torino, Empoli, Genoa, Parma, Como, Verona, and Lecce round out the rest of the table there. And then your relegation nation in Serie A, it's Cagliari, Venezia, and Monza in 18, 19, and 20. Plus, Harrison's guilty pleasure Bundesliga is back next week, so
can't wait. I'm interested to see how this title race between Bayern and Bayer Leverkusen shakes out. And something we haven't brought up yet. Of course, the year Harry Kane goes to the Bayern Munich is the first year they lose the Bundesliga in like 11, 12 years. Of course, that man is itching for his first trophy. He's like, I need it. I need it.
I was thinking about this today when I saw the Mo Salah chart that they pulled up and Harry Kane's name was on there. Do you think Harry Kane ever comes back to the Premier League?
If he does, it's going to be back with Tottenham. But the man has said in the past he wants a career in the NFL at some point, being a kicker. So can't take that off the cards. Can you imagine the first trophy Harry Kane wins is the Super Bowl?
The European mind could never comprehend that.
Never comprehend that. I don't think the American mind could comprehend that.
Not at all.
No, I don't think. The screw European and American minds, no mind would be able to comprehend that. I'm having fits right now just even thinking about it.
And onto the field for the game-winning field goal is Harry Kane.
It's a 50. No, it's a 70-yard attempt. This would be for NFL history. He's known for booting them into row Z in the Premier League. Let's see what he can do here. Oh, and
Now,
it's up. It's on the mark, and
here-
it's good.
I think I figured out how we end the Kansas City Chiefs' reign of terror.
Yeah.
Harrison Butker needs to take his ass back to the kitchen and get the fuck off an NFL field. And to prevent the Chiefs from winning a championship, you put Harry Kane as their
Yes.
kicker, and then they can't win a trophy because Harry Kane's on the roster.
Yes, I sign off on this. I think we should make this happen. Can someone put us in contact with Harry Kane?
Now, I will say, from everything I've seen him do, like media-wise, I like Harry Kane.
Oh,
as
he's a cool
person.
dude.
I think he's super cool.
I got no issues with the guy. In fact, I like him a lot. It's just the fact that he was on Tottenham and is now cursed, apparently. And I don't know who he angered, what gods he pissed off, but he does not deserve this title drought, except when he was with Tottenham. I'd be fine if Bayern, I'd be fine if Bayern won again this year. Just get him a goddamn trophy.
And he was fantastic when he was on Hot Ones last year.
Yeah, he's just a funny dude. He reminds me of a young Jamie Vardy.
I like Harry Kane.
Yeah.
But let's get him on the Kansas City Chiefs and stop this Chiefs reign of terror.
Please.
Little check-in too with the Premier decision. 6 teams remain, being Newcastle, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Brighton, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Man City, and West Ham eliminated last week. The Premier decision coming January 29th. It is January 1st, so we still have some time. I don't think we're going to eliminate anyone this week on the show.
No,
I will say this. I will say this for the people. That Aston Villa Brighton draw did a lot for those 2 teams staying alive.
Yeah, that it did. That it did.
I will say, going into this show, I was fully planning my notes and everything. If Villa would have lost at home to Brighton, I would have eliminated them on this show.
Yeah.
Just saying. They survived.
Just saying.
We've got 6 remaining. And January 29th is when you'll all find out the decision. I wonder what that match week is looking like before we head on up out of here. That's perfect. It's like sandwiched in between week 23 and 24.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Harrison, before we get up on out of here and prepare for another Premier League week of class?
Chelsea, please, for the love of God, do not lose to Crystal Palace. That is all.
Yeah, they need to win for sure. And a lot of teams need to win in order to keep a lot of hopes alive and keep their seasons going. And we'll see if Newcastle and Wolves remain the hottest teams in the Premier League, not named Liverpool.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys are following Top Bins on social at FC Top Bins on Twitter and TikTok, and on Instagram and Threads at Top Bins Pod. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast in audio form. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video. Drop a comment in the comment section. We will be opening the voicemail line. I'd say maybe like after the Premier decision. We'll get the voicemail line cooking, because then you'll know what my fandom allegiance is. We'll have Mark in the mix with the Arsenal fandom. We'll have Chelsea fandom, the whole 9 yards. So then everyone will have a fandom that's coming in and out of the show. And then you can yell at us. You can get your takes off, all that good stuff. So I'd say February 1st. So going into match week 24, the voicemail line will be open.
Yes, sir.
So subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social, and we'll be back next week breaking down the week that was in the Premier League, Serie A, any news that comes across in the transfer window. Nothing really to talk about yet in the transfer window, but we will be talking about it. And if any news comes through, either Harrison and I will have a selfie video breaking down the news with an instant reaction type of moment there. But thanks for tuning into another episode of Top Bins, and we will see you all on the next one. And until then, we'll see you then.